Talk to him.
Classic codes, I ain't taking it slow. Forgive me, Lord, I woke up in that mode. Whether the winters were left in the cold. Canelo Alvarez brings Jaron Boots Ennis into his camp to help him prepare for Terrence Bud Crawford. What do y'all think about this, chat? What on earth do y'all think about this? Did y'all hear the news? Canelo Alvarez brought Boots Ennis into his camp. Yeah. Boots Ennis, in case y'all don't know, Jaron Boots Ennis, he's an undefeated champion. Fought most of his career at welterweight. He'll now be campaigning at super welterweight or junior middleweight, whichever one you want to look at it, at 154 pounds. Jaron Boots Ennis for a long time, was lobbying to try to fight Keith Thurman. I mean, not Keith Thurman. Well, him too, but Errol Spence and both Terrence Crawford. But I think he was just outside of the generation. He was just young. He was lobbying for that fight, and those guys were busy trying to fight each other. So he ended up on the outside looking in of a lot of things. But he's said to be a bundle of potential. So far, I would say Jaron is nice, passes the eye test, but largely untested as far as level of competition is concerned. We respect Boots, though. Boots is a hell of a fighter. The thing about it is he's extremely athletic. He's young. And like Terrence Crawford, he fights out of both stances. He fights southpaw and orthodox. And I would say that Boots actually switches stances during exchanges and during the fight with more fluidity than Bud does. Bud will be fighting you orthodox. And then, maybe at some point he'll shift to southpaw. And then he'll stay southpaw for a while, if not the whole rest of the fight. And then maybe he'll switch back orthodox, but it's never in the midst of things. Boots will literally switch from southpaw to orthodox 3 or 4 times, maybe 5, 6 times within a round. You'll be in an exchange that started from the southpaw position, and he'll pivot out into the orthodox position and put his jab on you, and then come with a right hand. You know what I'm saying? So he does it with great fluidity and effortlessly. So Boots, if anybody on the planet Earth that we know about as a general boxing, populace or people who are interested in the sport, if anybody, of anybody of the people that we know about on the planet that can help get you prepared for fighting a Terrence Crawford, I would say it would be Boots. So there's been a lot of rhetoric around this, chat. Been a lot of rhetoric around this. People saying Boots is a traitor. Boots is a coon. Been a lot of talk around this. And the reason being is because, obviously Canelo being a Mexican fighter, people try to make it about race. Canelo's a Mexican fighter. He fighting against a black man. Crawford already moving up 2 weight classes to fight him. You going to go help the ops on some energy like that. People calling him Uncle Tom, et cetera, right? All these things, allegedly, and all the slander that's been put on Boots for being seen in Canelo Alvarez's camp to help him with his Bud Crawford fight. I'll give you guys my take on it. I think it's boxing. Boots wanted to fight Terrence Crawford. He called him out for a long time. Terrence claimed that Boots had an opportunity to fight him. He didn't stay in the right under the right sanctioning body of the belt that Terrence had to force the fight. He asked him, why didn't you demand the fight? If you wanted it, you could have demanded it. I was the champion and you moved out from under my sanctioning body. So that's a debate between the two of them. However, they're never going to fight each other, right? So Boots feels like Terrence didn't give him an opportunity, probably to some degree, right? And Terrence probably feels differently, but these guys are not friends. Jaron Boots Ennis doesn't owe Terrence Crawford a thing, and if anything, it wouldn't be wrong of him to have some resentment. Hey, I'm a young dude trying to come up. I'm looking for a shot. I'm kicking ass and taking names. I want you. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it. And Crawford, I got bigger fish to fry. And at the time he did. He was focused on the Errol Spence fight. And then shortly after that, he moved up in weight. And now he's moving all the way up to 168 pounds. So a fight with him and Boots will never happen. But if Boots has a sour taste in his mouth, I'm not saying that he does because I don't know that. But if he does, one could say that it's warranted, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, podcast says, I'm surprised I don't remember the name. I'd have to see him fight. Stance switching fighters are my favorite style of fighters. Jaron Boots Ennis. Go look him up, bro. Look up, if you want to see him look masterful, look up his fight against Roman Villa. Look at that fight. The full fight is on YouTube. If you want to see him look masterful. Yeah. But yeah, Boots is nice. He's just, again, and I'm not surprised you don't know him because he's largely untested. But him coming in to help Canelo Alvarez in camp for Bud, it's a big deal. You know, whatever Canelo was doing to prepare for Crawford, you know, probably was already extensive and intense. He's, you know, Canelo's a legendary level fighter. So whatever he was already doing to get ready, I'm sure it was intense, but bringing in Boots this close to the action, I think they fight in what, a couple of weeks here. So he brought Boots in to get him right when he's peaking. He's probably sharp as hell right now. He didn't bring Boots in at the beginning of his camp the first couple of weeks. He brought this man in, you know, nearing fight time when he's probably peaking, and he probably wanted to get a real good look at something that's sharp, fast, athletic, switches stances like a Crawford, right? So Crawford allegedly responded to all of the noise around the fact that Boots went to help Canelo prepare for the fight. And Crawford, because Boots is supposed to be his rival, or the fight that people want to see him fight is against Virgil Ortiz. And Crawford said something along the lines of, you know, if I went to camp and sparred against Virgil, I'd be a traitor though, right? Or I'd be wrong, right? So, but my answer to all of that is no. Yeah, no, he wouldn't be a traitor. It's boxing, y'all. Souls of Thought said Boots have to sell himself too. Boots is underrated. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Boots is too modest. He's overly modest. And he has to understand that though he's in the fight business, he's also in the entertainment business. And it would benefit him to even stay inside of his personality, but just make sure his visibility is higher. Boots doesn't really have a social media presence that he manages at a high level. And I think that he should. You know what I mean? A lot of people speak well on his behalf, like I'm doing right now. But other than that, you're right. He could promote himself more. But Canelo bringing Boots in the camp is a big deal. I don't know how many rounds they sparred. I don't know how hard they sparred, but at this point in camp, they probably were thumping. I'm not going to lie. I heard a lot of story about Boots being pretty harsh on guys in the gym during sparring. And I know Canelo is, nearing fight time, so he's probably in impeccable shape. And so they were probably thumping. You know what I mean? Cortez says Boots going to Saul's camp is a genius marketing. Yeah, that just definitely brightened his star, just even being seen next to him. He said Cortez, Boots gains the most from this. Yeah, without even having to take a fight. And, Canelo probably paid top dollar for sparring. So I'm sure he put some good money in Boots' pocket too. If I'm Bud, I would have brought Boots into my camp, whether I was going to spar with him or not, just so Canelo couldn't use him. We saw Floyd Mayweather do it when with Pacquiao's old strength and conditioning guy. I forget dude's name. Floyd hired him for the Pacquiao fight, just so Pacquiao couldn't use him. You know what I'm saying? Souls of Thought said facts, Tez. Yeah, I think Boots gains the most from this too, right? Because even the fact that, we got one person here on my platform that didn't know Boots like that and gonna look into him now because I'm sitting here talking about it, right? So Boots being tied to Canelo, especially at a time like this, and one of the biggest fights, probably in the last 5 years, one of the biggest fights we gonna get, him being tied to this and being in the media for this is definitely gonna brighten up his star. Everybody make sure y'all hitting that like button for sure. But yeah. How do I feel about it? I don't feel no way. I don't think that Boots owes Crawford anything. I don't think that he should have refrained from going to go get the experience with a guy like Canelo, even if it's in the setting of sparring. That's good work for Boots, right? He can improve on his pugilism. He put some money in his pockets. And I'm sure he has a fight that he's getting ready for. So I'm sure it's sharpening him up too. So it's wins across the board for Boots. How the public perceives it and all of that. It is what it is. You're trying to get ready for a fight. You're going to try to get the sparring that you need from whoever you need it from. And, you're going to have to tell me no. If I'm training and getting ready for a guy who's going to be aggressive and likes to counter punch and, he's got good power, I'm going to bring those types of guys in to sparring. You know what I mean? To get used to that look. Get used to somebody trying to throw back and, punch with me, or get used to people catching and shooting, and you need to get used to that and understand what you're going to do to offset that and all of that. You need those looks. And so it's very important. There's a lot of people saying that they've changed their pick because they seen Boots helping Canelo. They're saying they favorite Crawford, and now they're changing their pick to Canelo because they seen Canelo working with Boots to prepare for Crawford. And it matters. Your sparring matters. Your level of sparring matters. You know, the type of sparring that you're doing matters. It all matters. They say a lot of fights are won in training camp. So you got people actually changing their prediction. I'm not changing my prediction at all. I think Canelo has lost something. He hasn't had a knockout in what, 7 or 8 fights going back years. And so he's fighting against though he's coming up from a smaller weight class to a higher weight class, he's fighting against the best fighter that he's fought in shit, maybe ever. Because I got Bud as an all-time great. He in my top 3. So he's going to be in there with the best boxer that he's been in there with. I'm talking about Canelo when he's facing Bud. He'll be in the ring with the best boxer that he's been in there with, except Floyd, right? So that's the level that he's going to face. And he's lost something. So the fight won't end by Canelo stopping Bud. Everybody talking about, can Bud take this power? Can he take the shots? I don't see Canelo landing anything really significant to the chin of Bud, just because of the fact that he loads up on everything. I think Bud defense going to be tight as shit. And them big-ass loaded hooks, you're not landing that unless you deploy your jab. He going to have to get his jab off. Canelo is not, he'll jab for a round or two. He don't really jab. When he was younger and he used to throw punches and bunches and throw combinations, he used to jab. When he go watch old Canelo, young Canelo when he fought Shane Mosley, he would jab, a stiff-ass jab, and then come behind it with a fucking, you know what I'm saying, he stiff jab, and then come behind it with a 4-3, you know, a 4-3, 5, 6, 4 to the body, roll out, put the jab back on your ass. That's how Canelo was getting to it when he was younger. Now it's 2 big-ass hooks. He slip your shit, open up, ha, ha. And that's mostly how he getting down. So, like, if that's all he come with, if he don't diversify his approach, you know, he mess around and just get out boxed easy. And messing with a guy like Bud want a little bit of action, so they going to fight a little bit. You know, he mess around, get hurt. I just don't see Canelo getting stopped. His chin is made out of concrete. I just seen Canelo go to YouTube and look up Canelo caught clean, like with some clean shots. Man, Danny Jacobs almost tore his head off his shoulders. Triple G almost tore his head off his shoulders. I'm talking about, I seen him get hit with some shit, and he just keep walking forward. So I don't see Bud stopping him unless he just go to the body relentless. But we never see people go to Canelo body. So unless Bud just start on Canelo's body from round 1, I don't see this fight ending in a stoppage. But yeah, man, that's my take on Canelo calling Boots into camp. I don't think it changes anything about my prediction personally, but I do think it was a brilliant move for Canelo to be as best prepared for this fight as he could possibly be. Yeah, but that's my take on that. If you like what you just saw, support the channel. Make sure you subscribe, like, and jump in the comments. Talk to me so we could crack these codes. If you want to support the channel monetarily, go to my website and cop some merch, www.theclassiccodes.com. Or you can shoot me a Cash App. Either way, stick to the codes.
Classic codes, I ain't taking it slow. Forgive me, Lord, I woke up in that mode. Weathered the winters when left in the cold. Hardened my heart, now hardened the